Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Elkhart County Historical Museum Collections Bracket. Today we have the last matchup in the Elite Eight, so we're going to see who at the end of this matchup, we're going to finish out the round and see who's in the Final Four. Today we have a matchup of two military artifacts. We have Jack Cooper's wallet going against Avery Brown's drum. So what we're going to do, like we have been doing when we post this video on our Facebook page, and it'll also be on our YouTube page later. There will be a poll where you can vote in the poll, or you can leave your comment, and we'll count all the votes, and whoever wins this will move on to the Final Four. So we have two really great objects and artifacts that we're going to learn about today, and we're going to see which one moves on. So first, let's talk about Jack Cooper's wallet. So we have the wallet right here, and for today's entry, we wanted to highlight a specific entry in the wallet. So as you remember, Jack Cooper grew up in Elkhart. He was a World War II Navy man. His plane was shot down, and he uses this wallet and a safety pin to record his time on his life raft, which eventually would be the end of his life. So the entry we want to highlight is this one here on the left, and specifically at the bottom you can see encircled here it says roses, and then if you look further over it says to remind me of Helen. So for today's matchup, we wanted to explain to our audience who Helen was. So I'll close this back up. So here we have an image of Jack Cooper with Helen. Helen was his fiance. This is a photo before he was deployed to the Pacific Theater. Helen is mentioned a number of times through the diary, also known as Big Eyes. That was the nickname Jack had for her. And the entry we showed you when he's talking about roses, Jack Cooper is actually, we believe, planning his funeral. And he wants roses at his funeral to remind him of Helen. And then we believe the final entry itself just basically reads, to Helen, I loved her until the end. So after Jack Cooper dies in World War II, Helen continues to live on. She didn't find a mate for a few years. It wasn't until she was in her 40s that she marries. And then and what she did is, because she loved Jack so much, she held on to the letters that Jack sent her. And it wasn't until the night before she married her husband that she eventually burned the letters that Jack gave to her, in kind of a way, a sense of closure and her ability to move on. And then she would live out the rest of her life. So it's a pretty emotional story, and it tells about the story of love and love lost because of World War II. So that is what we're talking about with Jack Cooper's wallet today. And the matchup it's going up against today is the drum that belonged to Avery Brown. So we have an image of Avery Brown here that was taken shortly after the Civil War, we believe. And this would have been passed around to people. It was almost like when Avery Brown became a bit of a celebrity because of his age. As you remember from the previous video, Avery Brown enlisted in the Union Army at 8 years, 11 months, believed to be the youngest person in the Civil War. So he served for a number of years. The most prominent battle he served in was the Siege of Corinth in Mississippi in 1862. Now, if you studied the Civil War, the reason the Siege of Corinth is so important is because it was a Union victory. It took 3 weeks. It wasn't a battle. It was more of a siege where the Union Army waited out the Confederates. And it was important because of the junction point. Corinth was at the junction of two major railroads, the Mobile and Ohio Railroad and the Memphis and Charleston Railroad. And with the victory of the Union, the reason it was so important when they captured Corinth is it helped open up the Mississippi River for the Union Army, which was a big deal strategically, being able to control the Mississippi and everything that would go up and down. So that Union victory was very important. So today we have two really great parts of our collection, two really great pieces of military history that tell two really great stories. And I'm going to be honest, I think this is going to be one of the closest matchups we've had. So who's moving on to the Final Four, or what's moving on to the Final Four, that's up to you. So vote in the poll, leave your comment, and we'll post the winner, and then the Final Four will be set. So until then, we'll see you next time.